Hi, I'm Tony. Welcome to Sports Bike Shop's review of the Shark OXO helmet. There's a lot of activity in the world of flip-over helmets this year, and this is Shark's new for 2025 OXO. It's hard to call this helmet completely new for reasons I'll go into later on, but this helmet sees Shark return to a helmet style they were responsible for pioneering. Flip-overs like this are becoming more popular all the time because they offer more versatility than a more traditional flip-front helmet. When you open a regular flip, the chin bar sits on top of the lid where it's right in the airflow. That affects aerodynamics and it can create more noise. It's also top heavy. And if you don't use the switch to lock the chin bar up, it's vulnerable to falling forward and ending up right in front of your eyes while you're riding. On top of that, opening a regular flip takes the visor with it. That means you're relying just on the sun visor to shield your eyes. A flip over like this eliminates those concerns, making this a more realistic option for riding in open face configuration. So I'll show you how that works with the OXO. This one has a double switch opening method. Pushing out this one on the tip of the chin bar draws out the top switch. Pinch the two together and the chin bar's unlocked. As we lift the chin bar mechanism, it automatically raises the visor out of the way, keeps sliding the bar back, and then it comes to rest at the back of the helmet. Back here, it's not in the wind flow, it gives better weight balance, and the main visor is back in the game. There's also a next to zero chance of the chin bar sliding back into your view when you don't want it to. Still, you can eliminate that tiny chance by using the red switch on the side to lock the chin bar open. When you come to close the lid, slide the chin bar back over. If the visor's down, the mech will raise it again, and then it clicks shut at the end of its travel. If you've ever had a Nolan flip front helmet, you'll probably think this chin bar mechanism looks very familiar. There's a good reason for that. This is Nolan's chin bar mechanism. The company that owned Shark also acquired Nolan in 2019, and now the group is establishing stronger links between those two brands. This helmet is the strongest connection so far, as the OXO is very heavily based on Nolan's N121. There are some differences, but the way the chin bar operates is identical across the two helmets. I find that a good thing with this helmet, as I really like the way this chin bar works. I feel the double switch system means there's less chance of the helmet coming open accidentally, which has to be a good thing. It isn't as intuitive as operating a lid with a single button operation, but after reviewing several Nolan flips, it's second nature to me now to pinch those switches together. I prefer to have as much air as possible coming in when I'm filtering through slow traffic, and opening the chin bar on a flip gives me that. I had a 4-hour ride in this helmet that involved quite a lot of filtering, and it was easy to open and close the chin bar when I needed to. Okay, let's cover the shell. It's made from Lexan, which is a posh polycarbonate, and the weight is pretty good for a polycarb flip over lid. This size medium OXO weighs in on our scales at 1,694 grams. Plastic flip overs like this are generally at least 1,800 grams, so for this to come in under 1,700 grams is a good thing. I wore this helmet for around 1,000 miles, including a couple of 4-hour rides, without suffering any neck fatigue at all. There's ventilation on this helmet at the chin through this rocking switch here, which I have to admit I found awkward to operate with winter gloves on. When it's open, air can come through the chin bar and out through the top into the eye port. It might refresh the air inside the helmet, I'm sure it does, but it doesn't give a cooling flow of air that I could feel arriving on my face. I found myself having to look in the mirror as well to see if the vent was open because it didn't have an intuitive feel when I was opening it, and the airflow wasn't noticeable either. The top vent is easier to operate, which means it's easier to know that it's open at least, but I still needed to feel on top of the helmet to see if it was open because I had no detectable airflow to tell me it was open. Like the chin vent, I'm sure it's allowing some air to circulate, but if you want the feeling of air flowing directly to your head, then I expect you'll be disappointed. Okay, the visor. There's one intermediate stage between fully open and fully closed, which gives a small opening for airflow. That is quite small, but it will allow a reasonable flow of air inside. You can push it up slightly to get a bigger cracked position just here, but if you go much above 25 miles per hour, then I find it would slip down into the smaller opening again. From the cracked position, a push will seal the visor shut. There's no mechanical lock, so lifting again is just a matter of pushing up the centrally located tab. It's protected against mist by a Pinlock 70 insert, which comes in the box, and that covers virtually all of the visible area. When you come to fit that Pinlock, it's easy to tweak the tension if you need to because the adjusters can be turned from the outside by rotating the slot with a coin. The visor is also easier to change than older Shark flipovers, which is really good news. Switches on top of the slider carrier release the top edge of the visor so you can then pivot it forward and remove it. A Apart from the branding and the code name, this visor is identical to Nolan's N121 visor, so if you're struggling to get your hands on an OXO visor as a replacement or as a tinted option, you can broaden your search to include N121 visors. Some OXO helmets come with an extra tinted visor in the box. If it's a dark shadow model like this one, it's £30 more expensive, but you get this road legal tinted visor included with it. Under the old ECE 2205 regulations, a road legal tinted visor had only a 50% tint. It was legal for use all day and all night. The newer 2206 regulation allows a visor with a 65% tint like this, though it's only legal in clear daylight. For me, that's a good development, as a 50% tint visor wasn't tinted enough for use in bright sunshine, and it still compromised vision quite a bit if you tried to use one at night. Now we're being trusted to wear a properly tinted visor legally, as long as we do it in the right conditions, and for me that has to be a good thing. There's also a sun visor on this helmet. Like the Nolan equivalent, it runs on a slider on the left rim, and there's a one push button that auto retracts it. This system means you can have the sun visor partially down if you don't want the full drop. This definitely wasn't the case for me, as I didn't find the coverage of the sun visor anything like deep enough, especially at the sides. Now, I don't recall having the same issues with the Nolan when I reviewed that, and I've been trying to work out why that would be the case, because I've checked and everything is the same on the two helmets. One thing I have done is changed my spectacles since wearing the Nolan, and I think the new ones sit lower in this helmet, which is exacerbating the issue. When I'm riding, the lower frame of my specs lines up with the lower lip of the sun visor right in my eye line, and it all feels very busy. Also, looking at the screen on the Suzuki V-Strom 1050 I've worn during my time with this helmet means looking right through the rim of the sun visor, not through the sun visor itself. Other flipovers have much more comprehensive sun visors than this, and that is my biggest disappointment with the OXO. On the plus side though, it's anti-fog coated, and I found that works well, and the tint level is good. I just would like more coverage. Right, let's go inside the OXO. The fabric covering the liner is very pleasant to the touch. There's a soft brushed material on the cheek pads and then a grippier fabric on the skull pad to help that stay in place on your head. The cheek pads are prepared for riders who wear specs, but you've got some work to do if you want or need to create room for them. There's a small chunk of foam at the top of each cheek pad that's partially cut already. You need to finish off that cut, take out the chunks of foam, and then you've got room for your specs. I had to do that, and I still didn't find my specs sat perfectly inside the helmet, which was a shame. They sat lower than I would like, and the top of the frame was also closer to my eye line than I'd like. Now, I suspect that's part of the reason why I found the sun visor didn't come down far enough for my liking, as my glasses sat lower than the sun visor. Now onto the skull pad, which has a degree of adjustability. This is carried over from the Nolan, although Shark don't make any mention of it at all in their specification, not as far as I can see anyway. If you want to change the angle of the helmet on your head, you can tilt it forward or back by adjusting belts that connect the top section of the skull pad to the main section of padding. It is a bit fiddly, so I'd only try that if you're sure you want to change the angle. The base of the cheek pads have channels for the strap to feed through, and then an extra collar around the neck roll to give a better seal around the neck. That'll be there to help with drafts and noise. I found this helmet to be a little noisier than other flipovers I've tried, very similar to the Nolan, but it was nothing problematic. And as ever, when I'm talking about noise, that depends on loads of factors, not just the shape of the helmet. So your experience might be completely the opposite to mine if you do go for one of these helmets. And as you've probably deduced by now, the strap fastener is a micrometric buckle. Now, this is one of the key differences from the Nolan N121. The Nolan has a two-stage opening lever on the buckle for extra protection against accidental opening. Some people find that overly fiddly, so those people will be pleased to see the Shark has a very simple single lift and open lever. Now, let's talk about intercoms. The OXO is prepared for Shark's new Senna for Shark comms, which are due to arrive in spring 2025. There's a simple Bluetooth option or a high-spec mesh version. If you don't want the official comms, you'll be fine with the universal system if you use a self-adhesive pad to stick the control module to the shell. There is room for one of those, but the rim, I think, will be too wide around here to accept a clamp mount. The speaker recesses will be fine if you want Senna's 40mm speakers. For anything bigger than that, you'll need to hope there's room between the helmet and your ears, because I find they won't sit fully in the recesses. And that includes the 40mm Cardo speakers, which need a bigger recess than the 40mm Senna speakers. Okay, time for sizing, approvals and pricing. The Shark OXO comes in sizes from extra small up to double extra large, and there are two shell sizes. The smaller shell covers helmet sizes up to and including medium, and everything bigger than medium goes in the larger shell. I wore a size medium, as I do in virtually all helmets, and I found it very comfortable. My head measures 59 centimeters around, so in theory, the size chart puts me in a large, but the medium works well, and I found nothing to suggest anyone will need to go a size up or down from their usual. My head is as broad as it is long, which means round is the closest of the supposed pre-pack head shapes that people talk about when it comes to helmet shape. So if you have a round head, then this is a good place to start. But then most helmets fit me well, so I wouldn't limit your choice to just those helmets that are meant to be for the head shape you think you have. If I'm comparing the very similar Nolan to this helmet, then the fit is only very, very slightly different. The chances that you'll find one comfortable and the other uncomfortable are quite slim, but it might be worth a try to see if that is the case for you. In terms of approvals, the OXO is approved to ECE 2206 for use on the road, and it's dual homologated, so you can use it legally with the Chinbar up or down. There's no ACU gold sticker, so it's not approved for use on UK tracks, as if you'd want to do that anyway. It's very new as we record this still, so there's no rating under the UK government's Sharp Impact Testing Programme. If a rating is revealed, then we'll add it to the description for this video. Price. A single colour OXO has a list price of £319.99 as we record this. If you go for one of the dark shadow models, which does give you that additional visor like I mentioned earlier, the price goes up to £349.99. Graphic designs, they're £379.99. Okay, let's sum it up. There's quite a bit that's good about the OXO. The Chinbar mechanism is easy to use and feels very safe. The visor gives good vision and it works well, and the lining is comfy. It's also pretty light by flipover standards. Flipovers are usually quite heavy, but the OXO's sub 1700 gram weight is pretty respectable. It's also relatively easy to add your own choice of comms as well, although you may have issues accommodating larger speakers. The big downside for me is the sun visor, which just doesn't have enough drop in my opinion. You'll be able to gauge whether that's the case for you, and it's less likely to be a problem, I think, for those of you who don't need to wear specs while you're riding. If that's the case for you, then as I said a minute ago, there's a lot to like about the OXO. I hope that tells you everything you wanted to know about the Shark OXO helmet, but if there is anything you'd like to ask or to add, then please pop a comment below. Thanks for watching.